What is a dumb thing you thought as a child? I thought clouds come out of chimneys of factories. That Oprah was some kind of title for a person who talks to people on TV. Like Dr. Phil or those evangelists that are called Reverend such and such. So I thought Oprah Winfrey's first name was Winfrey and Oprah her job description. If I spin fast enough with my arms stretched out like a star, I could fly. If I was strong enough, I could bend down and place my hands below my feet and literally carry myself. Last but not least, I thought growing up was amazing. When I was in elementary school, my best friend and I heard of this word called sex, and we'd constantly ask friends or family if they wanna have sex. We had no idea what it was, and IDK if we thought it was cool or what. We said it so casually for like a year. I still cringe at the thought of it. No one told us what it meant. I once asked at a table full of family friends what a cock was. As an innocent 9-year-old girl, I didn't expect the whole table to erupt of laughter. How your family didn't say anything for a year is beyond me. I remember in 3rd and 4th grade people thought sex meant kissing. This is what the 5th graders who we hung out with after school told us. I still don't know whether they were lying or they genuinely didn't know. All dogs are boys and all cats are girls. That actors were really dedicated to their work. So dedicated in fact that they were willing to die in real life in my favorite movie just to showcase their dedication. My mother told me eating broccoli would turn my eyes green like hers, and I believed her. I begged my older cousin to tell me how to do that armpit fart thing when I was younger. He told me by eating my greens. I hated vegetables, and I believed him. Now my favorite Thanksgiving food is a Brussels sprouts, haha. My best friend's brother told my friend and I when we were around 5 or so that if you farted whilst walking you had to cut the smell with your hand or it would follow you. I believed this for quite some time and would make violent slicing motions with my hands behind me if I farted. Hahaha. That God was a tarp. My class was being taught about God in an old church that was being renovated, and the man explaining to us got it there and pointed up. There was a huge green tarp, and my kiddie brain thought that is God. The tarp. I thought people, small people, were inside the traffic signals making decisions about traffic. I thought there was an office where each person was given a traffic light and they could see it through a camera and would decide when the light should turn red or green. I always wondered why, when people got in car accidents, the people who switched the light on and off didn't get in trouble too, cause maybe they messed up. I also assumed that when the light turned yellow and we had to stop, they had seen our vehicle and decided we weren't allowed to go through and got personally offended. That women peed out of their butts. I literally didn't know the vagina existed, lol. That women got pregnant randomly. I didn't know sex involved intercourse or conception. I thought it was just when people got intimate with each other and rolled around naked and stuff. I thought couples just needed to stay with each other for a set period of time and then they have a baby. It was a fair enough conclusion from my younger self observing things. Little did I know that the observations, understandably, were missing a key piece. I always assumed women get pregnant regardless if they encounter a male partner because some tales never showed a father figure, and I just assumed it was not a necessary key component for having a baby. I didn't know vaginas went in, and I didn't know penises were bigger than baby penises until I was 13 and my mum explained it to me. I thought the same about how sex was done as you two, except I thought they touched the genitals together. My little cousin sometimes does a British accent for fun. We are very southern and aren't British whatsoever. He told my aunt / his mom that his sister told him that girls have 3 holes while maintaining a British accent. He said, "I just thought it was like boys peeing out their penis and girls pee out their buttholes." My aunt burst her capillaries from laughing. I thought that the people that lived in the time of black and white pictures actually saw the world in black and white instead of color. So basically, I thought color was invented after pictures with color was invented. I used to think that movies, based on a true story, were actually recorded at the time the story happened. I saw October Sky, set in the 1960s, then was so impressed when I saw Jake Gyllenhaal in Bubble Boy, because I thought he had to be at least 90 years old at that point. I was dumb. I've got two. This was before the days of easy internet access and Google searches. 1. I loved the taste of Flintstones vitamins, but I was afraid that too many vitamins could kill me. It was a struggle between wanting to eat those delicious little guys and risking death too. I started masturbating at an early age, and for some reason I believed that the body only produced a finite amount of sperm in its lifetime. Every time I would masturbate I'd feel terrified afterwards that I may have sacrificed my ability to ever have a family. I thought when we would put bags of clothes in donation bins all the clothes would fall from the sky to the homeless people who lived underground. Lumfeohu. As a little kid, I remember seeing someone in a wheelchair in a movie or TV show and thinking how cool it looked. I mean, they got to ride around all day in what looked like a bike, kinda, and could probably even throw some cards in the spokes if they wanted, or other add-ons. Cut to 2008, I'm diagnosed with cancer. I beat it later that year, but it cost me, among other things, some nerve damage in both my legs. So, turns out, I got my wheelchair after all. Also, it turns out that it sucks eggs. Don't get me wrong, I've learned how to adapt. That's the name of the game. After all, still, it seems like everything is harder or more involved now to some degree. Household chores, driving, going out with my wife, etc. Anything that involves moving around or interacting with people or my environment is made more difficult by my chair. Frankly, the fact that I need it as much as I do makes my frustration with it even trickier to handle. So yeah, that's my thing. For some reason in 2nd grade I thought my parents were vampires. I had no reason for this, it just popped into my head one day and I started stressing out about it. Eventually I concluded that they are probably nice vampires and stopped worrying about it. Once my mom was putting Vicks vapor rub on my chest and I asked her why. She said it would get in my pores. I asked her what pores were. She said they help you breathe. For a long I was convinced she was trying to kill me. Not me, but my best friend thought I had a sister. I'm an only child because we were playing game during which I made up a sister for my character. He believed I had an invisible sister for 2 years. My mom would always say a watched pot never boils, meaning it would seem to take longer if I watched the water waiting for it to boil. What I heard was a watch pot never boils. I thought a watch pot was a pot designed to never reach boiling temperatures. I was so confused why we would want such a thing when all I wanted was some mac and cheese. Took me a long time to figure it out. I always thought because something was big I couldn't lose it. Example, I had a toy gun that was about 3 foot long. I would hide it in random places because I figured I could never forget where it was because it was big. I found it a few years ago in a bush outside of my old house. That when you take money out of a cash point, the notes are printed on the spot by the machine. And if you deposit money, it's immediately destroyed. I now think that was a fairly sophisticated view of what money is for my age. Not physical notes, but entries in a ledger. My mom is a doctor, so when I asked her where do babies come from, she told me that the doctor would extract something from the body of the woman and extract something from the body of man. The two will be mixed and kept inside chambers until it's old enough to be taken home. That's why people who want babies go to the hospital. I believed it until I was 11 years old. When I was like 6 years old in 1998, I knew the president was Bill Clinton, but I thought the president before him was Abraham Lincoln, and before Abe was George Washington. So according to my logic, we only had 3 presidents in American history. I misheard weddings as wettings and thought that the bride and groom would run through a sprinkler system and then be married, and I thought that that sounded like a lot of fun. I was mad whenever I found out that that wasn't the case and couldn't wear my swim trunks to the event. I literally thought that organs were just floating around in your body like there was no standard placement for them. like someone's stomach was in the bottom of their tummy, or for someone else it was on the side of the abdomen. I thought cutting boards were sharp to the touch, since sharp knives touch them. I was afraid of touching a cutting board and would panic if I was helping my dad in the kitchen and he asked me to get out a cutting board. I thought all babies were born with penises. Girls just had their penises shrivel up and fall off like umbilical cords, which was what caused the crease between their legs. As a kid I didn't know how people tracked music charts. Like, how did they create the top 40? How did they know what song was the most popular? Naturally, I assumed that the radio hosts were able to track the volume at which people were listening to songs. The louder people played a song, the more popular that song must be. I thought I met the Batman when I was like 2 or 3 in 1990. Don't really remember if I thought it was Michael Keaton Batman or if I actually believed I met the real Batman. But yeah, it was just a guy in a suit at a Chuck E. Cheese's in Irving, TX. And I really thought I met the Batman. Edit. I actually thought I really met him until I was about 14 years old, lol. I would literally sit back and reminisce on the day I met the Batman, lol. I thought that the belly was a single cavity, not divided into different organs and stuff. So when I learned that pregnant ladies often suffer from nausea, I was super worried that they could throw up the embryo/fetus. My parents used to have wooden shoe shapers, the things you put in the shoes to give them a proper shape so they keep their shape over time. I was 100% sure these were Pinocchio shoes. I thought that people stopped living when I left the room. Literally thought the world revolved around me. That Santa didn't exist in Mexico. I just thought that Santa jurisdiction was only on the USA and that our parents had to buy us gifts so he don't get jealous of our American neighbors. When I was little, for whatever reason I never connected that meat you eat, like chicken, was an actual chicken. I just thought certain foods were named after animals and it was made somehow, not that it actually was them. I have no idea where that disconnect came from. I don't remember being told that or anything. I think it was just something my head made up and I didn't question it until I was like 6 or 7. My sister thought that women don't eat tomatoes. My mum doesn't eat them, but my dad does. She once asked my parents whether I, a girl too, was going to become a man because I ate tomatoes. I'm in fact not a man. I thought my family cared about me and valued my health and safety and privacy. They were just embarrassed by me and wanted to hide me from the world. They did that by putting me on a psych ward, like any caring family would. I also thought that if I didn't defend myself, I'd make life easier for me. It doesn't. I got fired because of my PTSD and depression, which is illegal, but I won't bother doing anything about it. I'll just move on and look for a different job. Everyone knows that a genie grants 3 wishes. As a kid, in 1st grade, I thought you could split each wish in half and get twice the wishes. I was 11 and wanted to dye my hair blonde. My mom asked what I would do when my hair grew out past the blonde, and I told her that if I dyed my hair blonde, when the ends grew out it would be really cool to have brown tips, not roots. I was laughed at by my entire family, lol. That it was God's will for my mother, wife of a preacher, to beat me when she was mad from the time I was 8 until I was 17, as part of the belief that everything in our lives happens according to God's will. I had a hard time understanding why God wanted her to beat me. I thought that Neapolitan ice cream was called Neapolitan ice cream because that's what my mum called it. I believed this for about 30 years until I said it in front of my wife and she had a WTF moment. That all the leftover food that I don't finish will be collected and transform into a huge person, and this person will eat me in the afterlife. No wonder I have a horrible relation with food as an adult. Before I even met anyone who was Jewish, and many years before I found out the family secret on mom's side that my great grandparents were Jewish and hid the fact to protect theirs and their children's lives, I thought the reason Jewish people didn't eat pork was because Jesus put all those demons who possessed a man into a herd of swine, and therefore all pigs afterwards were cursed to have a little demon in them, and that's why pork is unclean and unfit to eat. that 100% of people use sound logic when forming opinions. Turns out I was just taught logical fallacies at a young age, 6 years old, so I assumed that adults were smart enough to logic better than a 6-year-old. I thought it would be cool for a star to come and land in the backyard. My older sister explained that it wouldn't be good because they're really big. So I imagined them being a couple of meters across and secretly still thought it would be pretty cool. Limes were just lemons that weren't ripe yet. Lemons were just oranges that weren't ripe yet. Oranges were just grapefruits that weren't ripe yet. Basically all citrus fruit was one type of fruit at various stages or ripeness. I thought vaginas were shaped like a hot dog bun sticking out like a peen and to have sex to simply be spread apart. At this time I also had no idea how babies were made or even the knowledge of semen. When I was but a little toddler, I thought black people were made out of chocolate milk. I got in trouble for it at a Walmart by yelling chocolate milk baby at a black baby. I've never told anyone this, but I used to think when people referred to the current of the ocean they actually meant like a raisin. Like a big raisin under the sand. I think I was like 6 to 8 when I had this belief. Every time I'd think about it, I'd die laughing for a while. 12 years old, at the time internet is dial-up. It was a different time. Overhear group of other boys talking in class about girls and sex and stuff. One kid claims to not only be 100% certain he knows what a blowjob was, but was able to give himself one on the reggie. Because of course as we adults know full well a blowjob is when a girl take your dick out and blows warm air on it and it feels good. BC she's touching it and warm air feels good. After school I gave myself a blowjob with hairdryer on extra low and then spent the next year or so thinking blowjobs are like the world's most overrated thing. I was naive as a child like most of us. I was too trusting almost to the point of being physically hurt by bad people. My dad had to have many long talks with me about good people and bad people. That everyone isn't your friend. That some are evil, sick and twisted. I didn't understand recordings. So I thought that every song on the radio was sang live. When I played songs on repeat I thought I was forcing the singer to keep singing over and over again, so I'd never do it. You know the deli at the store where you can choose how much meat or cheese you want and how thick you want it to be. I thought that the people behind the counter were really good at knowing how much 1/2 pounds or 1 pound is. I only learned later that they have scales back there, not just awesome guessing skills. I thought that the barcodes on items at the store, the stickers with white and black lines, had trackers in them. So when you paid for an item the tracker would get turned off. That information would get sent to the main computer, which I thought was in like an upstairs part of the store. I thought that computer had a big list of all the items in the store, and when you paid for something a little check would appear next to the item on the list. But if you didn't pay and tried to walk out with a stolen item I thought the computer would turn into a big robot and bust through the roof and chase you down before finally eating you. I grew up in suburbia and thought all ground was concrete and people just put dirt and grass on top of that when they wanted lawns or gardens. I was pretty young when I realized this wasn't true, and I'm not sure why I assumed it in the first place. My dad used to tell us that commercials were essentially live. So when a pizza commercial came on he would make a big deal about the guy eating his 1000th piece of pizza and he must be so full. Took me a while to realize it was all recorded, and they did not do it over and over. I thought I was a real last day walking vampire for a few days when I was 6. My friend and I went to this circular clearing in the woods behind his house, called it the Devil's Circle, and I guess got so into the game that we thought we really became vampires. Eventually we got bored, decided to become people again, and play Super Nintendo again, because apparently vampires don't play Nintendo, and we really wanted to play some TMNT, Turtles in Time. That all parts of a record moved at the same speed when it was rotating. My dad tried to explain it to me, but my dumb brain couldn't grasp that the edge of the record must be moving faster than the center, since it was traveling a farther distance at the same RPM. When I was a little kid I thought you could skydive while standing on something and then jump off of it moments before you hit the ground. Really thought I was the first person who was gonna skydive without a parachute because I found a loophole in the laws of physics lol.